$15.99 a month. That's like
2 hours later.
Almost $200 a year forever. That's how much Lightroom costs. So I downloaded a completely different editing program that I've never used before, and we're gonna find out if it's any good. Quick note, DxO did give me the license for this software. They had asked me after my Nick collection video if I wanted to try something else, and I jumped on this because I'm always looking for a replacement for Lightroom, and I feel like a lot of people are in the same boat, so that's what we're going to find out. Okay, to kick things off, let's look at what's familiar here. So first thing you'll notice is that it definitely looks different. But if you've used Lightroom, then you know you've got your right-hand panel, has your histogram, your exposure sliders, your white balance, tone curves, and all your sliders that do slider things. You'll also see the photo library, which is your organization, for stars, colors, labels, tags, that sort of thing. That's all there. And they also use projects, which are basically like Lightroom collections. You're not really losing anything sorting through your workflow here. What you will notice, there is no catalog system that you have to manage. You just kind of browse through your photos, which I personally love. It's refreshingly simple, and I can just pop my SD card in and all the photos show up, and I just go through them and edit as I please, which is nice. But here's the thing that DxO does that Adobe doesn't. So when you open a RAW file, it automatically applies a lens profile, and not like a generic one. It's a specific lab-tested correction for your lens and your camera body. So if I open a photo here, which I have, this is without me touching a single slider. So everything is fixed, like the distortion is fixed, lens corrections, all that stuff is done, and it even fixed exposure for me. So yeah, I'm at a perfect starting point to begin my edits, which is great. And I forgot to mention, this is something you can turn off. So when I first launched PhotoLab, I meant to take a screenshot, but it gives you the option to either enable or disable this. So you can load your photo without any corrections if you prefer. If you're like a really, really blank canvas, that's totally fine. But this was on the default setting, which kind of applies your corrections as well as fixing the exposure, which I was like, sure, that sounds great. And that saves me time, and time is money. So yeah. Now let's look at what's actually better here. So if I pull up a noisy photo, this is kind of where DxO has been flexing on everyone for years. So it's their DeepPRIME XD3 AI noise reduction. And yes, that is certainly a mouthful, but it works really well. It's annoyingly good, honestly. Like if I look at this, the detail's still there, noise is gone. And yes, Lightroom's AI denoise works well. It's come a long, long way, but this is just different, and it's basically to the point where I don't even have to think about what ISO I'm shooting at anymore, which is great. And as someone who does a lot of events, a lot of terrible light situations, that alone has kind of caught my attention. Next is the Fujifilm advantage. So if you shoot Fujifilm like myself, there's actually something specific here that matters. Okay, Fuji doesn't use a standard sensor. They use their X-Trans sensor, which is a different pixel arrangement from the Bayer sensor that you find in pretty much every other camera. And for years, Fujifilm shooters have complained about Lightroom's rendering. The way it renders the images creates these weird, like worm-like artifacts and stuff in the fine details. And this has been a huge pain point. So much that people have left Lightroom and have moved to Capture One. But now we have this in PhotoLab, and what's actually happening is DxO built a completely different separate processing pipeline just for the X-Trans files. So it's not the same algorithm with just a Fuji sticker on it. It's completely different. It's designed for that specific pixel layout, and the noise reduction is tuned for that sensor specifically. So it runs a whole different calculation on X-Trans RAW files, which is super neat. Now, is this a reason to switch? Like I mentioned, some people, it absolutely would be for those who have left Lightroom for Capture One because of this reason. Honestly, for me, the Fujifilm is like my fun camera, so it's not really, I'm not gonna base every decision based around this. But if you are deeply invested in Fujifilm's ecosystem and that's all you own, then this may be a very viable competitor and it could be worth ditching Lightroom. Now I want to look at what PhotoLab has that Lightroom does not. So we talked about noise reduction and we talked about the Fuji processing, but there's a few things in PhotoLab that don't have a Lightroom equivalent, like at all. So let's take a look. First one is smart lighting. Now this is DxO's own thing. It's a single slider and it basically adjusts highlights, midtones, and shadows simultaneously, not just exposure. So it's reading the whole image and making decisions about what needs to move, which is super cool. And Lightroom makes you do this manually, and maybe if you prefer to have total control, you don't mind that and you want to do it manually, but having this in one slider, it works really well. And I don't know why we don't get something like this in Lightroom, or why more applications don't offer this. Second is ClearView Plus. This one, it removes haze while adding local contrast, all again in one slider. So it's not just dehaze. Obviously Lightroom has dehaze. This is like dehaze plus micro contrast adjustments and enhancements all tied together. For anything shot in like flat light, it's a genuinely useful tool. Again, Lightroom doesn't have this exact thing. You'd basically have to stack dehaze, clarity, and texture. But with this, it's just dragging one slider, which is so convenient and it works exceptionally well. Now for the version 9 headliner, AI masking has finally showed up in PhotoLab. We have subject detection. You click on a person, click on an object. It finds it just like Lightroom. And the difference is you can stack and combine masks the same way that you stack control points. So for years, the knock on PhotoLab was basically, local adjustments were just way behind. But control points were clever, but very limited. PhotoLab 9 just helped close that gap now. So you get the AI subject detection, plus the U-point system, which are two completely different ways to kind of do the same thing. It just gives you an option depending on what's faster or what makes sense for, the shot you're working with or the photo you're working with. Is it as polished as Lightroom's masking? Honestly, it's close. Lightroom still has that slight edge with like the edge refinement tool and stuff, but close is a massive leap basically from where PhotoLab was a year ago. So that gives us noise reduction that kind of puts Adobe to shame. We have a Fuji pipeline that actually understands how the X-Trans sensors work, and then tools that Lightroom literally doesn't have. And now we also have AI masking in the mix. So you can see why we're getting close to finding our substitution here. Here's where things get a little subjective. Let's talk about color. People might get angry in the comments. Color rendering, for whatever reason, DxO's default color rendering is just different than Adobe's. Not worse, not better, just different. Slightly more contrasty out of the box, I want to say. If you've edited in Lightroom for years, your photos are going to look slightly different when you first open them here. And again, that's not a flaw. It just gives you sort of a different starting point. Good news is you can tweak it easily. The bad news is that you sort of have to, I guess. And now the major draw and the reason that we are making this video, not we, but me, there's no subscription. So you buy PhotoLab 9, you own it, it's a single payment. At the time I'm making this, it's basically roughly a year and a half of Lightroom payments. So I'm not gonna try and do math again, but I'll put it up here somewhere. But yeah, definitely worth it. Now for the brutal honesty segment, obviously nothing is perfect and we need to talk about where PhotoLab falls short. Let's start with one that actually hurts a bit. So PhotoLab has dust removal. It has like your basic repair brush, but it does not have generative remove. Lightroom does, and it works really, really well. You click on something you don't want and it's gone. The background fills in like it was never even there. This is the kind of thing that you don't really miss until you don't have it. We've been extremely spoiled having this incorporated into Lightroom. So the cleanup workflow here definitely means like a round trip to Photoshop. Basically, you're gonna have to keep your Photoshop subscription. Just know that PhotoLab doesn't really solve it all when it comes to this sort of thing. Speaking of Photoshop though, there's no layered editing here. So this is not Photoshop. There's no compositing, no layers, no advanced retouching. If your workflow is starting in Lightroom and then sending it to Photoshop, then you're still going to be keeping Photoshop. Other thing is the learning curve here. So it's not super steep, but it's definitely real. And things are in different places, shortcuts are different. Chances are you're going to wind up Googling things or watching a YouTube video. But like any new program, it's going to take you a while to get the hang of it. And I think that's just part of the process. Also, a huge one for me personally, there's no mobile workflow, no cloud sync. So if you edit on an iPad or multiple devices, this probably isn't the right tool. So for me, like I use Lightroom CC or Lightroom Cloud, whatever you want to call it. Because of that cloud storage and syncing and all that, it just makes it so easy where I can pick it up on any device. And that's just a convenience thing for me. Last thing, and it's a little bit petty, the default interface looks a bit dated. So functionally, it's fine, but like aesthetically, I just don't find it as pleasing or something. I don't know. It's again, a little bit petty. Just, maybe just take some time to get used to. So the big question is, can I finally cancel Lightroom? For me, I'm not going to, not entirely, but let's talk about what's changed for me. So PhotoLab is now going to be my primary raw photo editor. For the kind of shooting I do, which is a lot of low light, run and gun stuff, often at high ISOs. And also because I own the Fujifilm camera, it does things that matter to me better than Lightroom does it. So the noise reduction alone is almost worth the price of this entire software. And then when you add in like the lens corrections and the X-Trans pipeline stuff, Adobe just doesn't touch it that way. And now that they also have AI masks that have caught up, and the fact it's a one-time payment, I definitely have too much editing software. Now I have one more to add to the list. But this is kind of the first one that's made me think like, okay, like, is this enough? Is this all I need? Just not quite there yet. But drop a comment below. Let me know if you've quit Adobe, if you're thinking about it. Maybe you did and it didn't pan out and you had to come back. I want to hear it. Also, if you do want to check out PhotoLab, there is a discount code in the description below. The summer sale is currently on, and that runs till July 15th. So now is a great time to dive in. The best part about DxO is they offer 30-day trial with, you're getting full access for 30 days to test it out, see if it fits your needs, and then you can make the decision to buy. But I would do it before July 15th and use that discount code as well. That's all for me. I'll see you in the next one.